Vito.
Hey man,
I'm good. How are you, my brother?
good to be here.
So, for the sake of this story,
Right.
can I just call you Kevie?
It works for me. It's my name.
Yeah, Kelvin
Kelvin type. Not
Yeah.
Kevin.
Kelvin.
Yeah, with an L.
Also,
Kelvin.
so Kevie was then the Shona version
of Kelvin.
of I thought it was Kevin.
No, boys guy, but Kevin.
Kevin Davey, yeah, Kevin
I
Davey.
like what Kelvin. It's weird, right? It's super weird.
But funny you actually start from the hood, from the block.
Right.
Born and raised in Southerton.
No, I actually came here family moved here. Cheap for waterfalls, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
Homeboy?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I've never told you that. No.
Really?
But I understand those streets, but I was also young and then,
How old?
Yeah, when I was like 3.
That doesn't count. You were raised in Southerton, yeah.
But I was I was a Grabowski. It was right by Park Town there.
With the soccer team and everything.
I mean? So, he was the doctor or whatever, yeah. But yeah, I was born there, then, moved to Southerton. About 3 years old. Till about, my family, my brother was bigger. It was me, my mom, and, my brother, so that's how we rolled,
Then Southerton became the place you then grew up.
Right.
And had most of your defining experiences.
Absolutely. Funny enough, I wasn't like an outgoing person as a young, and I stuck to myself. I was indoors most of the time,
I can't see that.
Yeah,
I can't see that.
Yeah, I was a very reserved. I'm an introverted type, type kid, But as I grew up, I started discovering myself more, and I mean, music was like the freeing agent, so it just opened me up, and
Do you remember the time where you actually found the music?
The thing is, music has always been part of my home. My mother was in the choir, sang soprano in a local church choir, took waterfalls by AFM. Rest in peace.
Amen. Rest in peace to mom.
Yeah. She was amazing, So with the sisters, mom and auntie wangu, it'd be mute noisy. Then people would break into harmony, and and that was just how it was. You're picking up like harmonies. Someone is singing from the bathroom, someone is in the kitchen, everybody's harmonizing to the same tune, and people are just wherever they are, and it's music in the house, and
so this is what mom is.
Right.
Mom is very gospel centric.
Right.
And what are the other siblings in the house listening to? What are the homies in the neighborhood listening to?
Now my brother, Ngoni, is we 8 years apart. So he's already into hip hop. I don't time
he's got a slick idea who might have done it.
Yeah.
That's how involved he's in there.
And he's also into dancehall. He used to bring a lot of music with it. And they don't take vemaCD. I did. Right. Lauren Hill or somebody. Now he's got good taste. The man's got good taste. And it dropped on, so I loved neo soul, I used to listen to Maxwell,
D'Angelo.
Yeah, and that's how I used to practice, like you hear that and you like, this one is fun, and that's how it goes, you're trying to be, people always ask me how you get those falsettos on, and it's just practice.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
When you spoke about mom, that she used to sing soprano.
Right.
Now it makes sense why.
Sharpen, yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Even the range is one, because I'm a very low toned person, even when I speak.
Yeah.
But I mean, range, yeah. It's all because of the practice. You could pick up. You had to, be the man, because you're around women. Brother, I'm going to go body. Try and sing along. In Vas, there were Sutu people.
Right.
So they would break into like Sutu tunes. And I would be breaking into language also, like, wow, really? What is this? What's going on now? So it was amazing. You just There's a lot of energy and
so you clearly grew up in a culturally diverse house.
Absolutely.
Right? Your brother is exposing you to dancehall, hip hop,
all these
soul,
urban genres,
soul, and all that. But at home, mom is very gospel.
Right.
But there's another element that's contributing to your growth, which is the neighborhood.
Right.
The neighborhood is a key place where you're also getting influence. What's the sound of the neighborhood? What's like the popular sound at the time that's defining some of the sound that becomes you later on?
All right. I think when I really caught on, to what was going on the urban scene, I was a Jay-Z fan.
Really?
Yeah. I really like what the man had to say, how he flowed, In fact, me and my boy D from Trinity, right? The toll guy. Yeah, shout out, you know what I mean? He's supposed to be here right now, but Yeah, we were like core fans. Hip hop was the language that everybody spoke. I mean, that we all speak now, you know what I mean? even in dancehall there's hip hop.
Right.
It's become like the culture.
Right.
So now we were all about that, trying to dress that way, trying to rap that way, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. At that time D was recording, he had like a mini radio, what is it? Yeah, he record like my beats, overdubs and stuff, and loop them, and would record like demos on those. And he had like both like Body Snatcher and some guys from the neighborhood, right? And Jeezy was also one of those guys. That was before I even got to, and I found these guys by straight hip hop. You know what I mean? And I decided to become a rapper at that time.
So you're a rapper?
Yeah. That's how I kind of was. But I would never rap. I never rapped on any of those records, but when we went to battles, me and my boy Izazu, would step up, they would know that niggas is well represented out here. So, yeah, man. That's how it was.
So at this time, D's recording music at his
house. Yeah.
Using
like equipment MDM, like a mini radio and like two cassette, yeah, and it's playing a beat on the other and recording on the other. You know what I mean? And looping the beats and recording them so that we can have like a longer beat, of like a some genius stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he was kind of like a scratch beat guy, a producer. You know what I mean?
And all of you guys were coming to sing rap.
Absolutely.
So at that point, you're not a group. You are just homies from the neighborhood, just doing stuff.
There is a group. It's called the Body Snatcher, but I'm hanging out with the group. You know what I mean? Discovering my rap part. You know what I mean? Before all these other guys broke off one. But people just went where they went. You know what I mean? Before Sarapani like Jeezy, Ininati.
Jeezy, UND,
right,
and that would later on
become Trinity.
Right. But before it becomes Trinity, take me to the journey where it becomes Trinity.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was called Empire. That's what we called ourselves then. Yangai Tori, guns blazing. By street murder, kill. Blah 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 blah. I'm strapping while you were rappers, so. Hey, Nyanza wa America, Nyanza Puti, the Decina, the helicopter, my chopa nigga, Bowling, doing all kinds, stripping, whatever, So yeah.
Which year is this?
This is probably like 99.
99.
Yeah.
The same year The Future drops.
Right. You see now. Then I think that's around the same time that people, the rest of the group just filled out with Sadata, the core, the Trinity, the tribe part, So yeah, and we're hearing this music, and this is truly, my bars, we write we're music writers because we used to write our material. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we're going there and just taking whatever Tupac says and we were writing our own ideas about how we would live that life. You know what I mean?
Maganzi.
You know what I mean? But so yeah. And now we're hearing like local stuff, you know what I mean, for the first time, which sounds like the stuff that we're trying to do, like it's urban, it's cool, it's hip, you know, and we're like, wow, you know, we gotta go get a deal. What is it?
Did you know who was making the stuff, or word was just traveling that there's this guy called Delani who's recording people, or he was still a Chamhembe? So then?
No. We in fact at that time, you know, we were quite woke about the goings on, because we used to go perform like title days were like girls high like for shows and whatever, you know we were a hip hop crew like that. You know, people would call us up, you know, come to perform, you know, so we gained some kind of, you know, what is the name, you know,
the streets as empire.
Yeah, you know, so yeah, and we would even bounce into like Wana Guapo and them Rocky. Nana Sebede, like a talent shows, whatever, you know, ZBC, whatever, you know what I mean? But that was before all of that, you know, really became Trinity, you know what I mean? So
you're just guys from
exactly.
Where's the Sustun?
Right.
Who are just doing this music thing.
Right.
So you then looking for a deal.
Right.
What are some of the doors? Which are the doors you know?
Hey, Tagatumbo and you know, quite Delani, you know what I mean?
How was the Delani experience?
It was hard, you know. Delani was a very blunt guy, you know what I mean. I don't know whether it was the music that I but when guy put you in there. That's so funny. You know, it could have been that, you know what I mean? Like Taita, when you get violent, but this is what you feel like we are, whatever, you know what I mean?
Take me from the neighborhood.
Right.
You're gonna meet Delani. Right? You get to Delani's studio. Paint for me this picture, this Delani experience. Because this is the guy who probably has the deal that you're looking for.
Okay.
This is the guy who's produced Tauya and I Kingpin.
Alright, exactly.
All
Absolutely.
those dudes.
Okay, so what happens is Guti, D's got the hookup. He knows the place. He knows where we're going. He's made the appointment. You know, D, the producer guy, he was very, you know, I felt moved about, you know, he felt like he was in charge, you know. Yeah, and, you know, he had the right, you know, because, I mean, yeah, so he's moving out there, you know, trying to get the deal, you know. Then if times handaging, to know one then we depend on Kumbi, you know, we're going there, we're psyched up, we got our records, we got our tapes, so you know, to feel out my chitatoni come record to feel out carry closer to that, you know what I mean? You know, you know, it's closer to what he's doing, like the kind of sound you have, you know, you can sing in Shana, and you know, because we weren't coming from that background, remember, you know, so yeah. So this record is now Shana, and you know, we got it with us. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're proud of this material, you know what I mean? It's dope. Tariko that take it. Boys to men.
Look at you guys. Look at
exactly. You know, so Fabaya. You know, then we get there, and it's like, all right, guys. Okay, we get into the studio. Then I don't know, there were some guys who were working there. I mean, some some guys who were in the studio with him. Then he's sitting on a chair. Then he's like, all right, guys, let's listen to it. You know, then Tambi Zamfana, one of the tape, Vipriwa. You know, people are, you know, bouncing. He's like, stop. I miss what he would. So
how many minutes in?
Just the first chorus and like a half or something. Yeah. And it's like, all right, I see what you're trying to do, but you guys are not ready yet. You know. And we're looking at each other like, okay.
Okay. What does that mean?
You know what I mean? But you know, what it means, and you know, so we didn't know what it meant also, because we had been out there going at the studios, in fact, you know, like an allergic, you know, and we'd get
which of the studios were there at the time, which were kind of big?
There was Logic, quite good boys, they're actually boys from the hood too, you know, funny enough, major players.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, explain that. What do you mean they're boys from the hood?
Yeah, well, they grew up around here.
Really?
They're from this area, yeah.
Southerton?
Yeah, absolutely. All three are from Benin. Zimbabwean that are just passing up, you know, not too far from here actually. You know, so yeah. So, you know, it's studio dichi kune boys zedu. Taenda ku logic.
Major players that to release.
Major players has got some cuts out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some cuts out at this time now. And you are to saying that, you know, because it's just to exchange my demos. It was kind of like a competition on my bars, and you know how it was. And we were friends, but we were also sparring one, you know, like we'd have like talent shows in the hood, you know, where we'd, you know, battle it out or whatever, you know, or like would be a modeling show, and then both cliques would be there or whatever, you know. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, China to not go boys zero. Then after that, she got I don't know. I just don't bring out those cigar no way. Yeah, just cold shoulders, man. You know, but you know, coming to think of it now, you know, it had to be a.
Were you guys ready then when you think of it now? Or you weren't ready, like?
No, and I mean, they could have been right, you know, but that wasn't the final truth, you know what I mean, of the story.
True.
We wouldn't let them determine to us what they thought was our future, you know what I mean? The future. You know what I mean? So, what was that? You know what I mean? So, we're gonna, you know, just.
How was the ride back home?
They were always cold, what is that? They were always cold. Zimbabwean boys, what is that? You know, like recording in my studio room, but what is that?
Do you know who I'm picturing in a Roomba studio?
Yeah.
Jeezy.
Crazy, you know what I mean? And D love that stuff, you know what I mean? D would eat that stuff up, you know.
Oh wait, before we move on with the Trinity story, so who was doing what within the group? Because when I look at it, you're the singer.
Right.
Jeezy was the bars.
Right.
So definitely D was
as a composer also. I mean, I won't lie. At that time, was writing a lot of the songs, because you know he had more time with the craft, was it? So he would come, you know, and he would have something new, like something that is already cut and put a chorus for, you know. You get me? So you know, he had a lot of creative input at that time. Not that you know. In fact, I wasn't writing as much at that time.
You were just the set of pipes.
I was just exactly, because me and D would hang out, and then he would write like songs that you know would both sing. You know what I mean? I would have a harmony, then you'd harmonize or whatever. It was quite creative. He's quite a creative guy. You know?
So you leave Delani, right? No deal.
You
deal. Guys aren't ready.
Right, you're not.
You're not ready.
Yeah.
You and your guns and
right.
your songs and your demo tapes, your bars, you're not ready.
Right.
So how did you guys find yourself at Take 5 Studio?
Right, so I don't know where we'd seen 5. We'd met at one of these shows again, you see. And we'd really connected, you know, the boys, you know, it's about hip-hop. And funny enough, you know, our background was, we were quite affluent, we were quite skillful. So yeah, we could connect to my salad on another level. What was not, but boys need to whatever, you know, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know where we met with Under 5, and we had a really good drop on, and you know, we spoke about the music and whatnot, you know, and he spoke about having a studio, you know, yeah. And then we remembered, that was the man, narcotic. You know what I mean?
You're still narcotic at the time.
Yeah.
It's not yet Take 5.
Yeah, well, making the transition into but Ibaba Wangari was I'm just saying after that, Blade after you know, there might be something happening and whatnot, you know, and like, yeah, you know what I mean? Those guys seem cool. And they got
But one guy.
I don't want to say, and we need that kind of energy, to feel out, yeah, let's go back. So I know, same town, one day, took to I'm around a little bit, Funny enough, it's me and D, and G's what you know. Yeah. And and we bump into 5. We're like, yo, bruh, we've been wanting to find your ass. But what's going on? What would I say? What is that? They were like, yo, give us my details. What is that? Number, Nichi. Address. It took us about 30 minutes to tuane pay pakopakabana. But anti pakopakabana. Traga, that's what I found a one place in Dover. Put it up in details spicy. Yeah, peace, yeah, man, So yeah, we get the pin, we get the details down, and after that I say, then we going home now, and we're all optimistic again, about the studio, because he had said would he starting up a thing of his own, and we and when we met him now, I was yeah, dojo rato mana, to try, and that time, nobody go to ana bogo and what. It was that.
Bogo was a tough tune.
You see what I mean?
It was a tough tune.
Up I looked that squad, and he's saying, "What? I'm that squad." I'm like, "What?"
Who's that rapper dude who rapped on Bogo? No.
Tell me why you give. Tell me what? That's crazy. Who was that guy? I keep wondering, who's
that DMX son, dude?
You tell me what the deal. Tell me what Yo. We need to find that guy.
Who's that dude?
We're looking for that guy. We want him. Yeah, njafunza memo. But tachaka ipo unzwa. Chururira pa radio and so we Tabatan is around Redutakatmaya Chingatin to know face one. I think it was during a weekday, you know what I mean? Tashika Takwina Chirenko is to end up Takwina Greendale. And this is like new territory, Tawea Greendale, Taburikirako Athlon. Then we strap now. And that when I strap when I fumble from any side because go 5.
And they straight.
Yeah, and no famba, no refill out the so yes. That's what schools here to track my numbers, what is that? Then we finally get to the place. Then we're there, you know what I mean? Yo man, boys that don't set up and there's like
when you say boys that don't set up, who's there at the time?
Alright, we saw Warblade.
Right,
Warblade was like in the same group that Fife was.
Mad Flavor.
Yes. Exactly. And Fife Wacho, and there was also I think it was
Sipo TBA.
CBA, exactly.
Right.
So yeah. We get there and when we go Jama, I don't know, some work is going on, whatever, and there's a little like a wire on a pop, you got valve like a mattress, or like a little cushion, or got someone again, and that's the mic, and no, I swear, and for people who would never been in a place where they could express, what is it?
That was like everything.
That's all we needed. All we needed is one mic, man, like Nas.
Hey, get out of here, man. I see what you did.
That's all we needed, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that chance to express, what is it? And we make him listen to Ndiwe and he's chuffed about the record, man. It's like, yo, you niggas don't even know. You know what I mean? We're like, what? You think so?
I just read the guys.
You know what I mean? And yeah, so I have to vibe on another level, because especially because we all struggling to break into like a Shana, because Fife was also like hardcore, like hip hop, and Shana pin game the Shana needed to be something that was specific or very us, like
And I think that's what made Shona so difficult, because you have to capture it in layers.
Yeah,
you have to capture it culturally. The language has to be on point.
Absolutely, you know,
the pen game has to just be solid.
So, you know, for us, Manji, to arrive at that point, Manjiga. All right, let me take you back. We're still in the studio. Then, you know, we get there and the energy is right, you know, and we talk about, you know, working. And people are like, yeah, man, let's do this. Well, you know, then, you know, that becomes that week. You know, we go back home. Then next week we come back again. You know, it's more consistent now. Maybe it's on a Monday, then on a Tuesday, then on a Friday or whatever. You know, but we're frequenting there, you know, and building relations on it. Because there weren't also many people coming through either at that time.
But people are starting to trickle in.
Right.
Who were some of the early people who followed Five, or who were coming to Five the early days? Who believed in Five the early days? Or just that squad?
I remember Ngoni. Ngoni Kambarami was there in the early days. Memories Aranyika was there in the early days.
Memories Aranyika is the chick who sang Bogo Bogo.
Exactly, yeah. And those guys were like family. We all became like family, man, because this is just how the vibe became, you know what I mean? Like, we'd be chilling in a studio and working on a record or whatever, then you know, maybe I'm messing up a harmony or whatever, then Ngoni feels like you can do it better, then, you know, you know, then
Ngoni's got that voice.
Exactly. Then, oh, no sequel, what is it? Then that's a night, what is it? What if, or then I come or I deliver, then, you know, we try to help each other do something else or whatever, you know, so that's how it was, you know, it was like a creative hub of some sort.
So at some point, artists start to really trickle in.
Right.
And to really come. And not only trickle in, but people just start to come.
Right, because, music, we did it on, and at that time, I think we'd released our first single. Okay, with Ascend and a Five. We've done some records over the years, you know, in fact, early years, we did a lot of, like, jingles and stuff, like, for, like, Star FM,
How dare you give Star FM the nod
No.
during this era?
No.
How dare you?
No. There was
3FM.
Yeah, 3FM, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's still 3FM.
Exactly. There was also like a show that was happening on Star Kids, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. Star Kids.
Right.
Star Kids had a show and we had the jingle for the show.
Right.
On your marks, get up, stand around.
You guys did that?
Yeah. That was, you know, and we also had a jingle for youth.com. So we were doing a lot of work, but that wasn't like out on
a consumption level.
Right, exactly.
Where people could identify you as the people who
as
did
the artist,
record.
exactly. So yeah, lots of work. Guys, you know, rubbing shoulders. Nana, Carl, Joshua, you know, at that time, you know, you know, they would come, you know, So then we finally put out a record. Our first record out was Sonya Nzi Nai Mama. It's a mother song. Exactly. You know. What was that song? I remember the first time we heard it on radio.
What?
Man, we were in my room at home. And Tine Boys, you know, that I made it a record, and you know, listening to 3FM, Radio 3. What is that? And it's a late night show. I don't know who was on. I'm forgetting who was on. It must have been Henceforth or something.
Mm.
You know? Then, you know, it's like, now, here's the new jam from Trinity. You know, bah! Oh, we cracked that shit up. Come listen to me, boy, man. I'm all on the bed, you know. Oh, man. You know, it's such an emotional moment to wonder because you're singing from the heart also, you know. You know, in fact, there was a lot of mothers' records at that time, you know, like...
Am I gay?
Yeah, you know, and gays, Rocky.
Yeah.
But, you know, to have our own right there.
Am I record?
And your mom represented. You know what I mean? Your mom feel like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, that was that moment for us, you know, to crowning, you know, getting that blessing on her from my mom, you know what I mean? So my mom was a very spiritual person also. You know, what is that? She believed in me, you know, and
I think that moment should have really cemented the dream.
Right.
Like, snap, we're supposed to do this.
Absolutely, it did, you know, and we came out of the understanding that we can, we can, you know what I mean?
In fact, we are.
We are, exactly, you know, and this is who we are now, Wana. You know, just moments ago, we weren't on, you know, national radio, and now this is what it is.
So, the record comes out, the dream is happening,
Right.
but at the same time, the studio, that squad, is also going through a transition because a lot more talent is coming.
Right.
Take 5 is getting busier. A lot of things are happening at the studio.
Absolutely.
Can you capture that time for me? Because you came in at a time where 5 just set up, right?
Absolutely. We were in fact, we were one of the very first artists. I think it was Memory than us, you know. Yeah. One of the very few to, you know, when Wangwaripo, like from the beginning. And time yo manje pampa kuyama artist akatanga ana 2BG.
2BG.
Yeah, you know, and what you could some beautiful music, man. Yeah, cause Sipo now, man, had another like dynamic one to the music one. That's TBA. You could any like you could connect one to people in the ghettos, you know, on a musical level.
Right.
So artists like 2BG resonated, you know, with what he was making as a producer.
The early 2BG.
Right.
The early 2BG.
With
Before
Rutendo,
Blush,
and Kevie.
Exactly. Before they then had Diana in there and...
Right. And it was quite a number of girls went in there, I think, before Diana. I think it was Diana was the last.
Was the last, yes.
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 Yeah, before all of that, you know, with Rutendo. And Rutendo is actually cousins with Jeezy, you know.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so, you know, we connected on a group level too. And
Right.
we groups, you know, like, you know, so yeah. It was a really cool, you know, 2 boys and a girl.
Right.
2BG, you know.
It was
really cool,
time,
you know,
Good time.
So yeah, the other artists are coming in, you know, people are recording and going, you know, they have an extra large, you know, coming in and going, you know, TK Holland.
Oh yeah, TK Holland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for reference, TK Holland is the first time I ever saw Junior Brown on a record.
Wow.
On the Hameno. There's
There's
the guy who does the dance on...
Yeah, that was Junior
yes.
Brown. That was Junior Brown. And yeah, in fact, you could be right.
That's the first time I ever heard Junior Brown.
Wow, you could be right. You could be right. It was actually a TK Holland record. And I always assumed it was on a Trinity.
Where they've got in the which Trinity record is that? Oh yeah, on the album.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but now I think you're right. Yeah, TK, exactly.
You never know.
So in a TK Wanga where, you know, all these people are coming in, you know, and Papa and vibe boys, you know, there's Parugadzro my records. Parugadzro my records, and all these people would come in, you know, and leave their work. And there was a lot of, you know, division of labor, you know, between Sipo, because, you know, Sipo at that time, I think it was more the engineer, you know, like the guy would sit in with the people, you know, and Fife would be on the production and like making the beats, coming and sitting with the artist and, you know, the vibe or whatever, you know, but, you know, at times it would be the other way around or whatever, you know. And, you know, and it was a different vibe too to it, you know what I mean? Like
it seems like TBA is mentioned in the early years of that squad. But by the time maybe we're gonna get to that. But let's just put a pin on that. When does that squad morph to become Chamhembe? Well, where does that come from? Because at one time it's that squad. Everyone is shouting out that squad. Yeah. Then it's like at some point everyone starts shouting out Chamhembe. Yeah. Chamhembe this, Chamhembe that. Chamhembe and before you know it, there's a tip that drops. So how did? Because you say you're one of the early people who were there before before anyone was there, right? So which means you clearly understood Fife's mindset. And just his psyche at the time, right? So, what was the progression where that squad became champion? Because I feel like there are a lot of versions on how that became.
Oh yeah, there are various perspectives on it, various perspectives to look at this one from. I think it was a studio that I think at that time was turned commercial. Why is it? But not necessarily so. Why is it? They commercialized the music that they were making. No transition to Chamhembe when it comes to the the business.
Wait, before we get to the business, where did the name Chamhembe come from?
All right, let's right. That's a crazy story.
Right.
That is a crazy story. You know, we were Trinity block.
Per block, Southerton.
Southerton.
Right.
On one evening, the thing is, in with Trinity, we used to listen to a lot of hip hop and whatnot, like I was telling you. And, we had those influences with us, which is, we always wanted to represent ourselves, but, be authentic to who we are also, So, hip hop was the vehicle. So, channel all of these phrases that we'd hear in hip hop, into Shana just so we would, be saying it for ourselves, keeping it for ourselves or not like, so that's what it was. Some crazy, thinking, a way of a system that we had, a movement that we had amongst ourselves, So that's where it came from. The language came from that. The name came from that. With Chamhembe, we were trying to be like, West Side or whatever, peace out, Chidimbo Kunze, saying all these crazy words or whatever, and then it so happened that on that night, we just got news. We were supposed to be going on a tour, I think, on a fortnight.
What was the name of this tour?
Tour.
Okay, what was it all about?
It was about AIDS awareness, against, standing against stigmatization and, because people at that time were very unaware. When I don't so we doing all these awareness campaigns on Nema, like my NGOs and so today they go to come to a show. In this show, everybody was there. Like I think everybody was like ever in entertainment at that time. Apart from Nagadangana Dilani and them from that era and the future. Was at this time there were all these kind of groups on Marca Straight, Tabo Mulojka, was producing at Micah Strader, and FTR, and CND, there was that, the whole crew. Then there was Movip one and a DS and a J Bone and them, and then there was all these cliques,
You guys went there as that squad.
Right. As that squad. Right, so we're there and everybody's there, and there's a vibe, there's like an actual vibe, and it's also a buzz that they do. In fact, it was me, Five, TBA, I think, Zazu, Jeezy, D, Ngoni. Yeah.
Right.
That squad. And I think Ngoni Takato Mwanira Mavuku because we bought it right by Greendale then,
Right.
Into So we're there and in Baza Tangatitori, this fire had already begun. because we brought all this energy from home with it. Yo, Chamhembe, and we get to the studio and that's what it is. We sleep on it. Tomorrow we meeting with other people. We on it. What is it? Mbava upenyu, thug life. We're gangsters. I told you, crazy. So yeah, Tabuda Pepe. We get to Mutare. And we rubbing shoulders with everybody, man, and everybody seems to be but yeah, man, and the vibe is on. Language. I remember that night I told Ngoni, in the room, talking about, the same, just going on about that same, craziness, Yeah, and in the afternoon, in the morning, when we broke off, everybody was saying Chamhembe. It had become the language one. I tell you that there were other people that were there, but everybody was saying Chamhembe. It was what it was, It was like, this is who we are, Tesi. It didn't matter you were from Macastrata. If you were just about the music and and the radicals, I don't gonna do that. I never feel out in the Namkoma, there's going to see how it is. I'm was I also said right as an enemy, hanging out in their own corner or whatever, being who they were also, but it was a beautiful tour. We had a blast of a time, I think Trinity was out on tour for the first time. I could assume that a lot of other artists at that time had done it, but this was our first on tour experience, going out of, and we were really absorbing, and it was really about us, in that moment, for us,
So after that, people break off,
right.
And Chamhembe is literally a thing. What was Chamhembe? Was it a collective of artists? Was it a movement? Was it a studio? Was it a compilation? A series of compilations? What was it? What's Chamhembe?
Chamhembe is a vibe, man. It's the mathematics of Trinity, It's our nature. You know what I mean? That's how I'd like to see it. Everybody else, caught on to it,
and it just became
and
a
it
name.
became theirs too.
That's no okay. I feel you.
You see, because it's not a thing that you can keep to yourself. Also, it's not a personal. It's not yours. It's not mine. It's a vibe, and the thing with the vibe is you're really trying to make sure the next person gets it on.
Right.
So you vibe together, right?
Yeah, it's like slang.
It's exactly. Right.
You're trying to put on the next person.
So
they
say
so
the
same things.
You're speaking the same language. So that's what it was, and that's how the music was.
So how did you guys feel about everyone is caught on to what you guys or to your vibe,
right?
But then there's a compilation being made and people want to call it Chamhembe Volume 1.
You know what? All of that happened in a few. It wasn't like it happened overnight, or it was a decision that was made to say that we are making a compilation that's going to be called Chamhembe. I think the music was always being made, because at that time people were coming in. Was after the tour, especially. Like we said, one of the vibe had,
So
everybody was exactly. Everybody was connecting people were coming through, on a Guapo, everybody on a queue.
Guapo is Rocky.
Yeah, all right, yeah. I call him Guapo.
Yeah.
Because of that song, Ingazakora.
No, even before that. The
Hermanos Guapos. Oh yeah. With Dicey, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's the triple. Yeah.
My name is Guapo.
Yeah,
I'm the one of Goma, straight out of Zimbabwe.
So yeah, it's been Guapo ever since for me,
Yeah, that's Guapo.
And that's the thing, Guapo also grew up in this neighborhood.
You even went to the same primary school?
Exactly.
BG,
exactly.
Rock. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, we were connecting at that level too, and that Chamhembe, we were brothers, and That's how it was.
What was the vibe like at that squad? How were you guys making music? What was the general vibe? Working through TBA 5, and Rocky was also a big part of production as well.
Right at the time, yeah, he came through. Rocky's always bulldozed through doors. I think that's how he operates on, and he functions in that way. So he came through, and he was himself.
He was guapo.
And expressed exactly. So that's what happened. He's got multiple skills, production,
songwriting,
vocalist, exactly. So yeah, all of that. So yeah, where were we? Gadzira music, yes, yeah. People are coming in. There's a vibe. I'll tell you this one. A recording, because that's another thing. Five was a perfection. He is, in fact, a perfectionist one, and he always expects product to be how he envisions it, or as the producer, so it would be very hard, at times, maybe unnecessarily, because at times it would hinder the progress. With the record, but it was also his work too. So frustration, maybe you're not delivering, and it really, but I mean, with time, I think becoming friends, really helped loosen all of those boundaries for us, and communicating, it really helped us understand each other more, and I could, when this is how he's feeling, this is how we're gonna do whatever we need to,
So what happened for Take 5 and TBA to split?
I think TBA always felt like he was a dope producer, of which in his own right he was. He made amazing records. I mean, one of my most favorite records at that time. Nah, it's Ajane, in fact.
Oh, Ajane.
Shame and Nathan.
Right. Oh, he produced that?
Yeah, that was TBA. And I remember that night when it was easy. TBA was an easygoing guy. You know what I mean? It's like Kevie, don't play face. And that was it. And I'm like, straight up, then Kizzy comes in, like, what is that? Trinity featuring him in it.
So,
whatever, but you see, the workflow actually, it wasn't like, in a way, an effort one, because with 5 would be looking for a hit record one. But with Sipo, you could be chilling back, you just, relaxing on whatever, we can make a record, and it would be a dope record at the end of the day.
But it killed it.
Exactly. So they were naturally different, because Sipo was also a very quiet guy, but a very wise guy too, He had a very...
The breakup between 5 and TBA, right? Well, when exactly did it happen? And was it felt in a whoa, this guy's actually had like a spat and said, yo, I'm going off to do my own thing. Or he just stopped coming to the studio.
He sort of phased out, And, it would be like weeks and you're not seeing guy where he's coming through here and there just because an artist is there or whatever. Or I got sent an record or whatever, you know what I mean? Or, but it wasn't as frequent, was it? But then, TBA was always was a very reserved guy too sometimes, was it? I used to tell but it wouldn't be like very emotional or expressive, but I don't even know when it happened. I was shocked, in fact.
So this is how we were experiencing it from the outside, right? There's Chugutiro, there's Chamhembe. It's sort of like same blueprint, same everything, right? And it felt like there was like beef.
Yeah, it did feel like the beef.
But here is where I'm taking this. Yeah. You were on the first record,
right,
singing the hook to the Honey Vibes. And you were on that record. And I wanted to know, how did cats from from Chamhembe take it that you're working with TBA and there's some sort of beef?
That's the thing, one. I think it's because nobody ever explained to me that there was a disconnect of some sort, one. Because no one, Five never said that to me and said, nah, TBA is the enemy or whatever.
But there was an unspoken...
Right. It was between them, really, one.
Right.
And I think that's where they kept it, I don't even know what happened, personally. But I could maybe understand, from just like looking, from, third eye view type, that, TBA felt like he needed to be himself, to express
himself.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, TBA, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So the Chamhembe Volume 1 tape drops.
Right.
Alright, and you've got a record there. My favorite record on the tape, really. That's my record.
Right.
Right. How did you guys come about?
Right.
How did Rachose come about? Because it's such a rich song, and
right.
it's very different from any other record.
Absolutely.
That's on. It's got this really live.
Absolutely. So okay, there were like riffs and like samples that had been recorded for I don't know what it was exactly, but those samples were played by Mono. We'd gone to Mono, and asked him to play some things for us. Yeah, like riffs. Mono is a left-hander. It's an up-down riff right there. And that's why it's so difficult to replicate. Also, it's because Mono played it apparently. So yeah, yeah. Anyway, so yeah. They get the riff, and I'm called in now on a different day. And there's a beat, and Sipo and Five are on the beat one. Then yeah, Nagwapo, right? Rocky,
yeah,
right. Then Rocky is got the hook and everything, down.
He sings the hook.
Nah, he's like
and that's
I'm like,
Rocky.
whoa.
And you can see his lips moving.
Like, what are you saying? What are you saying, bro? What are you saying exactly? You know what I mean? Like, what's the song about? And he's got the soul, and I'm like, and he's like, Rachose, Nija Kuda. And he writes that first verse, and I was like, so I do that. And it's like, yeah. Then that was it, one. Then, Tabuto and Tabuto is out of the pin down what he was singing. And, the Pindam booth, Sipo is like, yeah, one take, man.
Yeah. That was a one take song?
Yeah, I was very nervous. In fact, that song, I'm a nervous wreck. Because I'm like, what?
So
exactly. I'm like, what? These guys, we're working on a project. They want to give me a song. I've been called out. They called me out because they called me out. You know what I mean? And the groove is fresh, and I think Sipo was just adding the basses. We were working also, was it? Then the groove is just lit, say, and Tapeza, second verse. Then second verse. Second verse, and I finish up on the second verse. Then we're in the studio. Tapeza would go there, and I don't even understand exactly what is and certain moment what is it? You've just recorded a record and it's your record and you this is not what you were expecting.
So it's out, it's hot.
And it's a groove that you love, and it's live instrumentation fused with, and I didn't feel that song. I felt like I had made so many mistakes on that.
Because you were singing better, but it's so raw and nice. That's why I love it.
What is it? Look at, the times when I'm just like, but yeah. Then that song came out, and I heard it for the first time, and it started making sense to me, man. Goodness me.
So, it's amazing you say that the song came out, but it came out on Chamhembe 1. Chamhembe 1 is out, it's hot, and people are buying it, they are loving it, right? But is life still the same at the studio after Chamhembe 1? Because the impact is so surreal. But also, it means that the money is coming in.
Alright, I don't know. I think it was 1 week that we went home, and and we came back, and things were changed. I think there was better gear. I think like better studio equipment. And just like a few. And the house was done up. Because we're recording by fives. Remember. And you could notice a few changes. And the records are spinning, right? But the conversations weren't so.
What do you mean the conversations were?
Well, the thing is, we used to come a lot. I think Trinity was one of the very few artists per studio who would be treated like family, right? Because would be sleeping there at times. Like numerous times. And vapfanha, we've been taken care of, outside. There are other people who hustle and to get us to be able to do this, and we have to feed ourselves, studio, because there was no food, like for Trinity, my guest janami. Well, I take 5. So yeah, we.
But you come back one day and the conversation is now different. You're no longer treated the same.
Right. And and it would be weird on some days because just tensions. So we figured, we had to bring our own food or whatever, just to ease up on, maybe But that's the thing, Wana. This is who we were, Wana. We weren't there trying to fight.
Whatever was happening.
Exactly. But maybe we need to bring food. And also we starve overnight, and we felt the need, like we need to buy our groceries for ourselves, But then all these other artists were coming in, You see now. And people would, be eating off that, everybody has to make a contribution to eat, But half the time it's only maybe Trinity who's thinking about all of,
So
because we were there the most, and everybody would be coming in and going out, but we would stay there the most. We would, be there the most, Yeah, but we lived there the most, I think.
So the money is coming in, and clearly the Janami situation is changed a great deal, right? There's a better studio.
Gigi is more involved now. She comes in and she listens and she contributes.
She's Grace Janami.
Take Five Sister. Exactly. Who was now managing
the entity.
Right.
Right, but all that's happening, right? This is what I don't get, right? People didn't get paid. They didn't get royalties. They didn't get anything. People still agree to make another Chamhembe record, right? Where you guys have another great record, which is one of the biggest records there. That record in my day, pretty much some of the biggest on Chamhembe Plus, right? People still agree. What was the deal? What were the details around you guys making another record? But when you knew the situation in 10 South,
I think we made the Trinity album before we made the Plus.
Really?
Yeah. Then the decision was made to then release the Jessa record on the compilation.
How did Jessa come about?
Jessa was just a beautiful record, man. D had D, the songwriter. He's always animal archives, stock archives of my records, and we used to diss him on Mamoyo. Because every record, we are in Mamoyo somewhere. But they were beautiful songs.
So he wrote the whole of Jessa?
No. He wrote okay, the sung parts, the chorus and the first verse. Okay. So he'd sing that song and then we're making it, and then Rock is in the studio one of these days and you're like, brah, this record is always, and D was also venturing into production then. So before we know it, we're there by the table.
Who wrote the Ngano?
It was Rocky.
Rocky wrote the Ngano.
He just stepped into the studio, he's like, you song, you're going to make it. He's telling Dina.
Off the cuff.
Then yeah, G. Then yeah, okay. In fact, he had like an idea of the story of what the story could, of how a story should be, of how the story should be. Like it should be a story, and we should narrate like what is that? Then we sing the song. He had that idea, but then when we listen to it, we're now contributing to.
Who produced that?
It was Guapo.
Oh, Rocky produced Jessa.
Rocky produced Jessa. Rocky was sitting with us for those 3 days, making that record with us, and what? Five came through, and I don't know, maybe added bounce in the mix. Yeah, but Guapo sat in. Yeah, it was. You see, that's the thing, Warner. The thing is, Guapo was also like a Trinity member. The way that we saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
he was on most of the records and is doing a lot of the work.
Yeah, like we rubbed like brothers. I mean, like that's how it was. It was like
So who owns the rights to the Trinity? What was the deal with the Trinity album? Was it because you guys didn't get royalties, so we're gonna make an album, or?
Nah, see, I think we were the very few artists who might have signed a deal. To some extent, with that squad.
Oh, so that was that squad record, not a Chamhembe.
You see now.
Oh.
On a Chamhembe album, because this is my DJ ne that squad. Angari ema guitar one, which is why see, that's the thing. Chamhembe for me it was more a movement than a vibe than
the actual record.
Yeah. The record was an imprint of the era. What is it? We embedded the era. What is it? It's a mark of who we were in that time. As a generation, maybe. As a people.
So. It's amazing you say that, because it then leads us to the key question. Like, so what is the legacy then of that era? If you look back at it, and you look at those records, you look at what happened with UN5, you look at what happened with TBA, you look at everything, the money, the people didn't get paid, people disappearing, and all that happening, right? What is the legacy of that era? That if we were to put it on a timeline and we say, write a story about the legacy of this Chamhembe story, what story would you write?
I'd want to take it back to my path, as a musician personally, I've always thought like, music is the one place that you can reach out to someone and change, and touch a person without even having to stretch out a hand or whatever.
Right.
And I believe in that in that ability and this is why I'm into this field. I feel like it has to touch, it has to reach, it has to. And when you speak of legacy, I'd want it to be about the music, It's very difficult to find music that reaches you and touches you and remains a part of you and that's
what the music
exactly and that's what it needs to be still, you know what I mean, and that's what we really need to advocate for and let that be a blueprint of when we decided to for the first time. You know what I mean?
I like that. When we decided to for the first time, this is what we created.
Exactly. This is who we moved on. Because the thing is, people keep wanting Chamhembe to be about them.
It's not about an individual.
It's about everybody else though, because everybody else was involved. You know what I mean? My grandma would rap those, tunes. She was Chamhembe.
Oof.
You know what I mean? You get me?
So for
I would connect with doctors, on a musical level and intellectual, people tell me, oh man, you don't even know. So you see what I mean? It's
So Chamhembe is not Rocky. It's not Take 5. It's not My Freak. It's not TBA. It's all of us.
Those are just the vehicles, of the trade. What is it? You know, I'm training to find out to pin them somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, we were used for the type. Where's your vehicles? What is that? And there's the thing is, because maybe because people are too hard about it, and feel a certain way, maybe we have not let those blessings spread, the way that they're supposed to. Maybe that's how some people feel about it. But
right.
I feel like genuine music always has a way of of coming out, and this is who we need to represent our stories, talk about our issues, talk about our nyayas, you know what I mean, and speak our heart, you know what I mean. That's where the truth of our originality comes from. Because stop representing. And it's a thing that we had to learn over the years, which is why it took Trinity time to release, because we're also trying to perfect a skill of writing, a skill of communicating. What is it? To connect with a crowd, So it took us time to put out that project. We were there the longest, and it was a project that I'm proud of, to this day, to be part of a group that I'm, a movement that I'm proud to be part of, you know what I mean? And we really need to get past,
True.
the negativity on it.
That's
and
true.
really work on building, because there's a lot of things that we ought to be responsible for that maybe we are not, because of how people feel about, past energies or whatever. But, here's the thing, it's an energy, it never dies, right? Right.
I like that. Kevie, history remembers you. Are we ever gonna hear another Trinity record?
Absolutely. We've had talks. It's unfortunate that D and
Jesus couldn't be here.
Yeah, but the conversation has been going on. You might hear something. I'm not gonna say.
But you're releasing a lot of cool music as Vito.
Oh yeah.
Vito 263.
Again,
follow you on all social
on
media platforms.
Absolutely. There's a dope project coming up. In September. So.
Vito, I appreciate you. History remembers you. Thank you so much.
Maybe people haven't said it to you yet. This is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
For us to be able to tell the story.